Proud to serve northeastern and central Pennsylvania. This is WNEP 16, the news station. Now, Nolan Johannes, Karen Harch, pilot Jack Woolen in Skycam 16, chief meteorologist Tom Clark, and Joe Zone on sports. This is Newswatch 16.
If you live in the Lackawanna County community of Moscow, you probably know by now that you can turn on the tap and water will come out. Moscow customers of national utilities had dry taps for a few days, and that meant filling up jugs from water tankers. Well, they won't have to do this anymore. The company tells Newswatch 16 that water service to all customers was restored by this afternoon, so no more water woes in Moscow.
Next week, millions of viewers will watch the Miss America pageant on television. But for every pageant you've heard about, there are hundreds you've probably never heard of before. Action 16's Gerry Gartenburger has the story of a girl from Union County who discovered not all those pageants out there are winners.
This is the crowning moment thousands of girls dream about each year. A chance to capture the title or just a piece of the spotlight at a prestigious pageant like Miss Teen USA. It was the kind of dream 18-year-old Sherry Cromley had last January when she entered a pageant called Miss American Teenager. With the help of relatives and friends like Deborah Smith, Sherry paid the $200 entry fee and almost $400 for the gown and other outfits pageant officials said she'd need for the competition. But when Sherry arrived for the competition at a hotel in Harrisburg, she was told the pageant had been canceled. No one at the hotel seemed to know why, so she called the pageant's toll-free number. The number was disconnected.
I was upset and humiliated because all the time and money we put into it, for nothing. And then I was embarrassed because I had to go back and tell my sponsors, that they gave me their money for nothing, and I couldn't even get it back.
A couple of months later, Sherry got an unsigned letter from the Miss American Teenager pageant saying it would send back her entry fee in the near future. The money never came. And Action 16 has received complaints from several other girls in northeastern and central Pennsylvania, girls who entered the pageant and had their hopes and pocketbooks emptied. We've turned our information over to the postal authorities in New York, hoping that Sherry and the others can get their money back. But these girls are not alone.
Officials at the Miss Northeastern Pennsylvania pageant tell me there are hundreds, maybe thousands of girls like Sherry who enter pageants and end up spending their time and money for nothing.
When the girls enter the program, they're so excited about being in a pageant and the possibility of making it big or becoming a star that they forget that the important thing is to check out whether or not the program is a legitimate one.
So, how do you and your parents check out whether a pageant is on the up and up? First, look out for vague or hard-to-believe claims on the pageant entry form. Now, this entry form for Miss American Teenager says the pageant has 250,000 contestants each year. Now, come on. When did you ever hear of a pageant with enough contestants to fill up 4 football stadiums? Also, talk to people who were in the pageant last year or the year before. If the pageant director won't give you their names, there's probably something fishy. And one more thing. Check with folks who run recognized pageants such as Miss America or Miss Pennsylvania to see if they've ever heard of the pageant you're thinking of entering. If they haven't, think again. Nolan.
Jerry, don't you think there should be a law to protect people from these pageant directors that run off with your money?
Well, there's a law in Tennessee that requires pageant directors to post a bond so that if they take off with your money, you get your money back. But right now in Pennsylvania, there is no such law, Nolan.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jerry. Well, vegetable farmers have the same worry tonight that they had last night, the possibility of frost hitting their crops. We have 2 reports on how one farmer is fighting the frost. The first from Newswatch 16's Dan Fiorucci with photographer Doug Engel, who spent a cold night out in the field.
It was a crystal clear night with a bright moon. The kind of night any farmer will tell you is the absolute worst for frost. That's why this morning tomato farmers spent hours riding around their fields checking thermometers.
How's it looking there? Well, it's 38. Looks like it's holding for a little while.
The farmers were fearful the frost would kill off much of their crop.
It could be economically devastating. Is there a worse time a frost could strike than at the harvest?
No, this is the worst time. To try to prevent damage to their crops, some farmers are renting helicopters. If the temperature should drop below 35 degrees, they'll fly these helicopters low over their fields to prevent frost from settling on the crops.
Well, actually, all you're really doing with a helicopter is going up and pulling the warm air down. They'll go up 150, 200 feet or wherever the inversion's at, pull some warm air down, and they'll fly a little bit lower, and they'll pull it down a little more, and then they'll fly right over the field, and it can bring it up 5 degrees in a matter of minutes.
By dawn, the helicopter rotors began to turn at one farm as the temperature dipped at 33 degrees. Within minutes, the chopper raised the temperature of the crop and saved it. Now farmers are keeping their fingers crossed, hoping tonight's weather won't be a rerun of last night. Dan Fiorucci, Newswatch 16, Luzerne County.
Well, weather expert Tom Clark is next.
Tom, how about it? Any more frost tonight?
Inside the greenhouse, no. Outside, yes. But will it warm up for the weekend? I'll have the answer when we come back.
If you're planning on going boating this summer, I have a few safety tips for you. When stepping aboard a boat, grab the sides and keep your weight low and towards the center. Never stand up or hang your legs or arms over the sides. Wear an improved personal flotation device. And remember, don't overload your boat so we can all enjoy a safe and happy summer season.
Well, there's a lot of weather news, so let's get right. Tom, that's not going to protect you from the frost.
See that MC on there?
Yeah.
That represents the champion McAllisterville baseball team, the best baseball team in Juniata County. And I want to thank Charlie Kinzer, player-manager of the team, who gave me the cap. Pretty neat. Okay, outside now, it's beautiful, but cool in the backyard. Look at the temperature now. It is at 61 degrees. Humidity 45%. The wind still coming down from the north, and the barometer is holding steady. Good air quality today. Range in temperature 63 and 45 last night. The record low, however, still stands at 40. Now that there is the former home of brewmaster Frank Yingling, now on the historic register in Pottsville. 5 fireplaces on the first floor alone. Pretty nice place. Hey, did you know that frost can form with air temperatures above 32 degrees? Well, it happens because objects on the ground lose heat faster than the air does at night. And so on a clear, calm night like tonight, when the air temperature may stand at 35 degrees, the temperature of blades of grass or the hood of a car or the surface of a tomato may drop down to 32 degrees or colder. Now, the temperature of the air in contact with these objects reaches the frost point, causing ice crystals to form from the condensation of water vapor. And that's what frost is. It's nothing more than frozen dew. And it'll form again tonight in the outlying areas. Now, the Newswatch 16 color satellite picture coming up. Look at these clouds here. Hot air ramming into this Canadian air mass, but most of these clouds and showers will miss Pennsylvania over the coming weekend. So we're in pretty good shape. Okay, here we go. Here's the forecast for tonight. Plenty of cold moonshine overhead. A beautiful night, but plenty cool. Forest City, 31. Dallas, 35 tonight. 31 in the Poconos at Toby Hanna tonight. Bloomsburg and New Ringgold at 43. 40 in Rock Haven tonight. Cover the tomato plants. Frost will be out there by daybreak tomorrow morning. Now tomorrow, a little bit warmer than what we had today. A few degrees warmer, getting up close to 70 in DuPont, Laceyville 68, Freeland up there in the elevations only about 64, Sealands Grove and Du Bois Town near 70, a southeast wind late in the day. Nice day coming up tomorrow. The sun will be coming up at this time, 6:35 tomorrow morning. The sun sets at 7:26. Now, 43 my low tonight. There'll be some fog again in the morning, radiational fog, a clear, calm night. Sunny tomorrow. Super Saturday at Public Square in Wilkes-Barre, and the air show in Williamsport on Saturday. Partly cloudy, a nice day, 73. Windy on Sunday, and it's going to be warm back up into the low 80s by early next week. So it will warm up.
All right.
But I like this stuff.
We still don't have to worry about that picnic for Sunday. We're all right, right?
Yep.
It'll be windy, though, huh?
Yeah.
A little breezy. Yeah, a little breezy, Tom.
Thank you. Joe Zones next with a ton of sports action.
Plus the return of the Sports Star of the Week.
Come to the Williamsport National Air Show, September 8th and 9th. This year's show features the Ray-Ban Gold Aerobatic Team, world champion Betty Stewart, Gary Schroeder Air Shows, Ed Johnson's Microjet, the U.S. Navy Shooting Stars, military demonstrations and displays, plus home-built and experimental aircraft. make this the biggest show in the East. Gates open at 9 a.m. with the main show at 1:30 p.m. The Williamsport National Air Show, September 8th and 9th at the Williamsport Lycoming County Airport, Montoursville. Check your local paper for ticket locations.
I'm trying to see what its first story is, but I can't see it from here.
Football season.
Football, I guess.
Stay with us, will you? We've got a Thursday nighter tonight. The Jets, who've beaten the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, one time in their history, they open up in their new home, the Meadowlands. That also happens to be the home of the other New York team, the Giants. The Meadowlands, of course, are in New Jersey. And speaking of New Jersey, Franco Harris has got one, and there it is. It's got his name on it, and it's in Seahawk blue.
I'm real excited about being here. I like the enthusiasm here and the attitude here, and I'm just happy to be part of this growth that they're doing, and real positive growth.
Harris gained over 1,000 yards last year, including 131 against Seattle. Chuck Knox hasn't seen him play this year, but he wanted him to replace Kurt Warner all along.
1,200 yards rushing last year, 5 games over 100 yards. And he can play. John Riggins is 35. Franco Harris is in great shape. He takes good care of himself. He's a quality person, good leadership on and off the field, dedicated, hard worker. He'll be an asset.
Harris will be in the lineup Sunday against San Diego. Hey, it looks like the Dallas Cowboys will have Danny White to kick around after all. Well, actually, it's White who will do the kicking. He's now the Cowboys' starting punter. Some quarterbacks end up in the broadcast booth. He replaces Jim Miller, who was cut to make room for wide receiver Harold Carmichael. Well, now the high school and college kids are back in full swing. We've got Sports Star of the Week back. Interesting, though, our first winner is neither a high school or a college kid.
Bill Rife Snyder has been running, either cross-country or marathon style, for the past 8 years. But the 3 state championships at Williamsport High School he's won, or the 4 undefeated years he spent at Bucknell, don't compare to what he accomplished this past weekend. He defeated 2 Olympians and 2 American record holders in a 20-kilometer race held in New Haven, Connecticut. And on top of that, it was his first ever 20-kilometer race.
I went to this race knowing that they were there and hoping that I could just beat 1 or 2 of those guys and get some exposure. I wasn't planning on winning, but I wasn't counting it out either.
At age 22, Bill is far from his prime years in marathon racing. Marathoners don't reach their prime until age 30, so the Olympics in 88 and 92 are possibilities. Along with his age, Bill has another edge over many of his competitors.
Your cardiovascular system, it's the amount of oxygen that you can intake and the percentage of that oxygen that's put to use toward the activity that you're doing. My VO2 max is 85%, which is very high for even a distance runner. And so that's what enables me to run at the level that I'm able to.
There's no telling what lie down the road for Bill Rife Snyder. Marathon victories, Olympic possibilities maybe. But for now, with this outstanding performance this past weekend, he's this week's and this season's first WNEP TV Sports Star of the Week.
Take a look at the runners-up. Scott Bennett, Bloomsburg, Ralph Ferraro, Nanaco, Chris Dugan, Montoursville, Winlight, Honesdale, and Matt Kopczynski of Freeland. Our sports stars, by the way, are selected by media members from throughout the area. Bill Keene of WILQ helps us out in the Williamsport area, and I'll tell you who some of our other members are as we go along. And finally, Jimmy Connors did something today that a lot of us have wanted to do at one time or another. He beat up his ex-girlfriend's husband. Actually, the beating took place on center court at the U.S. Open. Connors knocks off John Lloyd in straight sets. That's all of it. Give tonight your best shot. See you after the game.
Keep us up to date on the soap opera things that go on, right, Joe?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. And now stick with us because we'll be telling you about some new life from Death Valley.
It's the tale of a new burro in Schuylkill County. You'll get to see it as Newswatch 16 continues.
Hundreds of forest fires are purposely set in the woodlands. Lives, property, trees, and wildlife are threatened. If you have any information on this matter, call a toll-free arson hotline.
Finally tonight, we have a tale of life from death. Death Valley, that is. Newswatch 16's Bob Costantini says mother and baby were brought here by a government program.
12 hours old and still a little weak at the knees. This little fellow's mother and 2 other burros were brought here from Death Valley last spring. They're part of the government's donkey population control program there. Alex Sokolowski put the 3 in this stable near McAdoo, unaware that Cinnamon had become pregnant in the wild.
We had no idea that that burro was pregnant. In fact, up until near the end, we even had doubts.
Now that all doubt is removed, friends stop by to see how young foal and mother are doing. Among them, Von Ron Krosney, mother of Kim Krosney, a 10-year-old who helps tend the donkeys and will get to name the new one.
She was all excited. She don't want to go to school. She was jumping up and down. Oh, my baby, my baby.
And the adults have adapted quite well in going from Death Valley to Schuylkill County.
Well, they're just pets. They're nice. They're pets. They're not difficult to handle. A little hay in the morning, a little hay at night. They're not messy, and they're just pets for the children.
When he got the 3 burros, Alex Sokolowski built 3 stalls for them. Now, with the addition to the family, like many families, he knows it's time to put on an addition at the end of the stable. Bob Costantini, Newswatch 16, near McAdoo.
Wouldn't you like to have one of them?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's Newswatch 16 for this Thursday.
Be sure to join us tonight on the update when we will be telling you about an old factory that is bringing new hope to a community in our area.
World News Tonight is next with a story on Walter Mondale's latest attack on President Reagan.
And we'll be back, of course, tonight for the entire team. Thanks for joining us.
Enjoy your evening.